All righty then, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to HBAP Startups. Thank you all for joining us tonight. It is a pleasure to see all of these fantastic faces that I absolutely love. All right, so as we get started, for those of you who are new to the Startups group, we have a few announcements at the beginning of each meeting. We do a short networking breakout room, and then we'll come back together for our main event. First off is our mission. We're here to help foster an innovation and entrepreneur community coming out of HBAP, and our goal is to provide our members with the tools, knowledge, leadership, and confidence necessary to create and grow their businesses from the ground up. For those of you who are HBAP students, we have an internal website and a community calendar and a Slack channel where we post internally. And for those of you who are not, actually for everyone, this is now open to everyone. I'm going to put two links into the Zoom chat. I think I can figure out how to do that. One is to our newsletter and the other one is to our website. And I don't know why the link to the website didn't work. I'll have to figure that one out. But please fill out the form for the newsletter so we can newsletter you and stay in touch, and you can then know what the topics are. Also, please bring a guest to contribute, and we do want to grow our group here. Also, a little piece of news here: recordings are going to be posted. So I'm going to get on top of that. I know I have a massive backlog, and I apologize for it, but we will be getting those things. I have a sneaky suspicion, due to the recent changes with Zoom and HBAP, those recordings might show up on YouTube. They might be private, they might be public, depends on the actual thing, but just keep an eye out for that, and we'll figure it out in the coming weeks. Susan.
Yes. So, in the spirit of we're creating this inclusive, safe community here for people that have a startup, they want to innovate, they want to be an entrepreneur, they just want to create. That's what we're here for. Just this environment where you can come and listen, you can talk, you can bounce ideas off, you can do all of those things. And so always a reminder that all rights are reserved by the presenter unless they tell us otherwise. Of course, we're always following the HBAP honor code and ethical behavior. And then this idea, Francis Fry's 5-to-1 ratio of feedback. So for every astringent comment that we give to someone, we want to do 5 sweet, powerful comments and feedback to people. Last time, Kelly, which was very cool, a cool idea, was like, well, why give any astringent or sour or tart or bitter comments? Just do 5 really awesome and supportive comments. So there's our takeoff on what Francis Fry says.
Well, you need to grow, right? I mean, yeah. You have to have some history. You have to grow. So
yeah.
Well, I think that's the whole point. Like, you need to give 5 Scooby snacks to 1 piece of constructive advice. Nothing destructive. If you're trying to take somebody down, we don't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Like, no, I was thinking what Kelly said, that why do any astringent? And I'm just thinking, well, because you want to grow.
Yeah.
You want to grow. That's the whole point. We want to grow.
Yep. That's good. And so, as always, if you have any concerns about anything, confidentiality, conflict of interest, whatever it is, that's why Todd and I are here, is to help figure that out with you. So just come to us.
Awesome. Are there any new people here that I don't recognize? Jacqueline. No.
Yeah. Hi. Yes, I'm quite new here. I'm part of April cohort.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Just started?
Yeah. Yes. Well, this April.
So you're this upcoming April?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you have not started yet.
I haven't started, but I've seen the announcement, so I might as well jump in.
Welcome. Congratulations.
Excellent.
So we have a new person. Thank you for joining us. Real quick, give us your 10-second introduction. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? How did you hear about HBAP? And what's your superpower? Can you do that in 10 seconds?
I'll try.
Okay.
So I'm from the UK. I've lived in the UK for 15 years. I'm now in Finland, trying to because I have a startup that I'm planning to launch in March. And I'm here isolating myself and doing some research while I'm traveling.
Awesome. And your superpower.
And your superpower, yes.
I guess starting business. This is my third business and that I'm going to start.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. So, and we'll catch up later.
Yeah,
all right.
welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
So just again, a few announcements upcoming. Well, tonight we know is Link. Next week is Ravi Sohani, who's the CEO of RKS Designs. Actually, we're going to be issuing out a couple of HBS case studies in advance of that. This should be incredible. Nicole Gibson from Love Out Loud and Tracy Warren from F5 Collective. These are all part of Kelly's crew. So the next 3 weeks should be really impressive in terms of what's upcoming. So you're not going to want to miss the next 3 weeks.
And just to him, before you go on, just a reminder that they're always the first Wednesday of every month is social overtime. So you can see where February 1st is the big social overtime. Come hang out, have fun. And then we start the next Wednesdays to the end of every month.
Yeah. Sorry about that. What was I going to say? Yeah, I didn't put it in the upcoming because next week is we're not meeting.
Right. Next week is overtime. Social might. Yeah.
Right. Let me get the breakout rooms ready. So for those of you who are new, we do some social one-on-one breakout rooms for about 5-6 minutes. Talk about who you are, what are you looking to do, and how can we all help each other. And I will see you guys in about 5 or 6 minutes. Enjoy. And Andrea, I kept you in the main lobby to hang out with me. Let me pause the recording. All right. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had lots of fun in your breakout rooms. Where's my presentation? Here we go. Just a couple of reminders. At the end, when you leave Zoom, it should prompt you with a little web page with a survey. Please fill that out. I've not had a chance to recreate the poll that will run at the end. I'll figure that out. So please fill out that survey. It's the same questions that we normally do, but it's data that Susan and Liz and I really do cherish. Also, please hang out for overtime when we're done after we stop recording. It's our thing that we do. We just hang out afterwards. All right. So, how are we doing? We're good. All right. Well, for those of you who know me, I've had the pleasure to work with our next presenter at the Center for the Transformation of Work's advocacy workstream for the past 2 some odd years, also affiliated with Open Assembly. Link, formerly known as Chris Link Duarte, is an HBAP alumni from Cohort 4. And since graduating in September of 2020, Link has scaled his consulting company, Linking Dreams, from local and national to a global spotlight. Link is a connector on a mission to inspire the world to be more inclusive of everyone. Link is an Army veteran and an LGBTQ+ person. He's got his master's in law, so he could advocate for rural LGBTQ+ people and direct services back to the community. In the past 10 years, he's created more than 25 signature programs across the Southwest United States, and he's helped raise more than $9 million to help LGBTQ+ people gain access to resources, support, and services. Link is an advocate for change in predominantly conservative communities and has consulted with more than 500 companies in his career. To encourage empathy and understanding, he has shared his story in front of hundreds of audiences, some as large as 25,000 people. Today, Link is focused on creating local connection in Northern Arizona. His new company, NAZ Local, is Northern Arizona's first and only one-stop shop to everything. As an underrepresented founder existing in a rural area and navigating the challenges of building a tech platform business, he continues to tell his story and share advice in the hopes of helping other underrepresented founders start and scale their own businesses. Because in the end, a truly inclusive world is one we build together. Now, without further ado, if we could all please briefly unmute ourselves, and let's give a warm round of applause to Link. All right, let me stop sharing. Link, are you there? I cannot hear you. All right.
I am here. I couldn't hear anybody clapping.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I see people doing this, but it was good. It was very quiet.
Link, thanks for joining.
You know, you're welcome. I've been nervous about this, I think more than anything else I've done in the last, I don't know, 2 years, because you guys are my peers.
Oh, good. Okay.
You know,
All right. Yeah.
and it's like, okay, so, today I created something new, a whole new presentation for tonight, because I think this is a split mix, right? Where we share about our successes and what we're doing and our building of our, but I'm not selling to you guys. I want your feedback and thoughts and advice and networking. And you guys are my friends. You guys are my family. The HBAP really had such an impact on me, and the family and friends I've met through HBAP have really helped me scale my company. So tonight I've held back actually presenting here, even though I'm always involved in the community, because I really want to share with you my journey and where I've been and where I've come from and how I've used and leveraged HBAP, but also give back to say this journey has had some scars along the way and some pains, and I've navigated some things and have some really good advice to give, depending on where you are in the startup journey and in the entrepreneur journey. And I hope that I can give you some advice to take back with you to get started wherever you are in the journey and in the process since HBAP. Yeah, so I want to get started.
Yes, you have slides to share?
I do. So I'm gonna. It's weird. I'm trying Canva, my premium subscription to Canva. So bear with me that it's a PDF. It's not a presentation. So I haven't figured out how to put it in presentation mode. So
don't worry about it.
Bear with me. This is how it will look, and it will go from slide to slide. So thank you. So this is so where I'm at in the process right now is, it's a balancing act. And so I came to talk about really like, it's not an easy journey to just say, you know what, I really want to create a startup, and I think I got a great idea, and all I got to do is pitch it to the right person and they'll write me a check and game done, right on. No, it is a really hard process. There's a lot of soul-sucking tasks that, not everybody wakes up and says when they're, 8 years old and go to school and say, I want to start companies one day. You never hear a young kid, they want to be firefighters and stuff. And so it's not for the weary, it's not for the lost. It's for somebody that really wants to get started in their journey and discover what they really want to do. So it's a balancing act. Todd talked a lot about what I've done. So for over 20 years, I've had this consulting business where I've really worked with underrepresented populations, primarily LGBT. I've created this niche. I've been a public speaker. But it's always something that, yes, it's a business I do, but to do it as a primary source of income, there's a lot to that. And it's a lot. I can't multiply myself in a million ways, right? And so I've always said, all the work that I do connects people back to resources, connection, support, and all that work is really unpaid. And so I have been working on developing a one-stop shop platform for resources that I can connect all the people that have always asked for my help to one place to discover whatever they need. It's always been my dream, but that was just an idea. And so this is my journey really to you tonight on how did I take this idea and put a face to it, and am building now a one-stop shop resources for all of Northern Arizona, and figuring out how to make money and build that tech piece of the platform that really I've learned from HBAP and kind of this journey. So starting at a disadvantage, coming from a rural area, I identify as a transgender man. So a whole nother topic, a whole nother series on how I was born female, and I have this whole crazy story. But that's not what I'm going to necessarily go into tonight. But starting at a disadvantage and saying, okay, here I am, a startup entrepreneur. I want to create this thing, but it takes all of my creative energy, but so does my work with LGBT populations. It takes my emotional energy. How do I balance what I do in my daily work, make a living and thrive, while also creating this other thing over here that doesn't yet generate me money to sustain myself? And so that creative energy, plus starting at a disadvantage of, not only am I a transgender person, but I wear the face of a white guy. And so if I brag and say, okay, yeah, here's my outstanding resume of I'm a white guy in the Southwest region of the United States that has a Harvard master's degree, suddenly I'm now at a disadvantage of like, oh, we've seen 1,000 of you. And now we're supporting other underrepresented founders. And so I found myself in this, have found myself in this weird place of being an underrepresented population member. However, I wear the face of what's considered the majority. And so that's been a challenge. And then, building a company and being an entrepreneur are two very different things. For 20 years, I've been a consultant and can make contracts and get paid and whatever and sustain myself, but never make enough to really employ people and run a full-fledged company and build a business. That's a whole different set of skills and things that I'd worked always in the nonprofit world or in the legal sector and not had this kind of skill set. So I had a really working from a disadvantage. So I discovered really through HBAP that it starts with scaling yourself first and saying, okay, I got a lot of skills, I got a lot of know-how, I'm doing this thing, but I got to figure out what is it that I need to learn, know, and grow. To build a successful business, you have to have some kind of niche, right? That it's something special, it sets you apart from other people, or you're just building something that everyone else is building. And that there's a lot that goes into not just, okay, you might know your product or your idea really well, but there's all these other pieces and components you got to learn. And it's really a lot of time and money spent. How do I do this? So as I really went through HBAP to discover how I could get this done, all I really learned is how much I didn't know. And it was a very aggravating process that, okay, yes, I could take and scale my story and get everybody's attention to tell my story. But now that I've got all these offers for help, what do I do with that? How do I actually launch this idea of creating a one-stop shop platform for everyone into actual motion? And so everything I learned through my process and journey of like taking classes and webinars and doing the startups courses and, oh God, participating and engaging in everything that I could startups, I learned that really it all came down to the 3 Ps: people, product, process. We learned that at the beginning of HBAP, but it always really came down to that. And so I'm going to break into some of that tonight, really focusing on 2, the people and the product, but how that process can really nip you in the butt. All through all of this, you got to discover that there's a sweet spot and learn to launch with a plan. That's my best advice. Like everything I learned in HBAP and all the startup classes, they're like, oh, just get going, get your idea out there. But there's so many hurdles and things that I learned along the way that's not always the answer, because you always get hung up somewhere. And now something is taking your time, that some investor or somebody wants something from you. And now that's taking 10 hours of your time, and you're not paying attention to the other pieces and parts and moving parts to get the business going. And so really developing a plan, what I did from the very beginning is take in all the information, but not take a lot of action. And that's the best idea, and an idea from the beginning, and it is really scale yourself by taking all the information you possibly can before you get started, knowing what you don't know. And I made a goal, like from the beginning of the program, that if I was going to go through this program and get all this education and knowledge and all of it, then I'm going to make a point to meet and network with everyone I can. Now I've taken this and scaled this to where now any networking opportunity or anything that I do, try and make 3 connections. 3 connections of people that you can follow up back with later. Maybe you want to meet with them or whatever, because you never really know what door that's going to open. Make it meaningful, that it's not just about the networking event itself, but what connections you make thereafter and follow up on that are really going to make all the difference. So then you go, okay, well, I've got this really grand idea. There's a lot of steps to get started. I got to consider my time versus money. Today, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and people with platforms and all kinds of different people all around the world, depending on what I'm doing. And the number one thing that stops all entrepreneurs is saying, I don't have the time or I don't have the money to get started. And so what I discovered as a person that is disadvantaged, didn't have a big runway, didn't have all the millions of dollars to get started. I run a small consulting firm that I'm launching now globally and doing work, but really just trying to keep myself afloat. I don't have this big runway. And if I'm spending all my time in one thing, how do I balance that and do it in the other? So what I advise people from the start is, I found that there's really 2 major types of people in the cohort of the HBAP program. Those that are successful in their business, working for a corporation or a business or whatnot, and they want to scale themselves up within the company, always with ideas on how they can kind of start their own, but really how they can scale and grow and build on their ideas and repertoire. And then there's a big chunk of us, more than 40%, that are entrepreneur type, that want to start our businesses and launch. But most of us also have that job that sucks a lot of our time and energy. And you're like, how in the hell do I start this entrepreneurship journey, start my business, launch my idea when I don't have any time because my hours of 9 to 5 are spent working for this company? Your first go-to is to really, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice at least 10 hours of your week. Set aside. You're considered an investment in yourself. The best way to launch and make money for yourself is to actually invest in yourself in the way of time. So whether you got to set time away in the morning or in the evening, set aside some time during the week to start yourself on the process of how can I launch my idea, my dream, what I really want to be doing. And if that means you make a good money and you make a good salary, then sacrifice, and you can't give them as much time, start to put money away to pay for the process of getting your business started, even if it just means filing the business name and things like that. So it's a balancing act between those 2. Then you move into the ideas phase, right? This is the best step-by-step process that I came across going, all right, I try it all. Focus on the people and the product of those 3 Ps. Your first go out at it, if you're trying to create, like, you might have a banging idea, okay, and you think it's the best idea in the world, but prove to yourself it's a really shitty idea and the worst idea ever, so that you can solve all the problems that you need to actually make it a reality. I'm going to repeat that again. Imagine you have the best idea in the world. Go out there in the world and prove it to be the crappiest idea ever, because then you will learn what it takes to make it a good and successful idea. So take classes and webinars beyond HBAP and join communities to grow your idea. I recommend attending a mastermind group, finding yourself peers that really are doing some of the similar things you are. They're also involved in the startup process, so you can bounce ideas horizontally with other peers to go, okay, what is it taking to get them started, as well as what advice can I give on my process as well. Research your idea. Does your idea already exist? Is somebody else doing it? Sometimes we get mad and we say, well, we have competitors out there, but I can do it better. Discover all the ways that they're doing it well, take notes on that, and discover what it will take to make those capabilities happen. So you start to build kind of like a pricing of your structure of your business. If you're going to go to market with a brilliant idea, you want to make sure all your questions are answered. Any questions you're going to get asked are answered before you even go out with it, right? So research your idea, know it inside and out, find out what is getting funded. Every time I see that there's a grant cycle and that something like $25 million was funded to some tech or whatever, I go and I look at who won those awards, who won that funding, what did they do to get it, how is their product really closing the deal, and I learned from others, so I can find out really what that sweet spot is. Network. Get out there and network with who, even if you're just sitting there with your camera off. Look up people that are in the networking meetings, find them on LinkedIn, find out what they're doing. I recommend, I just found a Pick My Brain. That's an actual platform, pickmybrain.com, and it's free to create yourself a profile. And there's people that share advice on there. There's over 1,000 members of just people that are thought leaders in certain areas, and they share their ideas, and you can book a 30-minute meeting with them and create your own profile. Make yourself available to give knowledge as well as receive knowledge in areas that you're not so strong in, because you're going to need a lot, and you're going to be able to have to know a lot in order to launch your business successfully, or even get a venture capitalist, for example, to listen to your idea. You can have a banging pitch deck, but if you don't know anything about your business beyond that, forget it. And so this all starts to build on your repertoire of knowledge of everything that you're going to need. A lot of research I've found is that it takes about 2 years on average to develop all the ideas and develop the plan before the plan even launches and is ready for funding. And so that's a lot of work and a lot of time, with dedicating at least 10 hours a week to just developing yourself. But find your sweet spot. Maybe you're not the venture capitalist that needs, $250 million to launch your business. Maybe you only need 25,000. What I have found and discovered is I'm raising right now $250,000 to launch NAZ Local. That is a sweet spot that opens me up for a lot of funding, where I'm valuated at about a $1.5 million range for my business. So I can give away some equity, I have some wiggle room, but what I found is that if I ask for less, yes, I could do it for less, but if I ask for less, there wasn't a sweet spot to open me up for funding. And I'll talk more about that later, is that there's a sweet spot of what ask you want to ask for, depending on what the capabilities of your company and how much money it could generate. And so no matter what your idea is, there's a sweet spot for your idea, for your market, for your audience, and you have to find it, and that takes research. Then you got to build a reputation. And there's a lot of talk in HBAP about building a niche. I had this wonderful niche. I'm this transgender founder. I've been doing these public speaking engagements. I'm on some podcasts. Here's some posters of me. Everybody knows who I am. But if I have a network that's just thousands of followers, say on Instagram, what good are they when it comes to building a company? And so it's really quality over quantity when it comes to building your reputation. And start with building a CRM from the start. Maybe the people are not going to come into use to you later that you meet at a networking meeting, but you really got to start building on your peers that are doing well, and also really that they show a passion and a drive to make that business that they're building work, and they're actually making progress. Keep tabs with those people because they have advice to give. And then add those people, and then maybe another column or tab of those that are professional advancement. Maybe it's a platform, maybe it's a speaking opportunity, maybe it's a podcast, it's some kind of thought leader in your area of business that is spotlighting people like you, and get opportunities to share what you're doing, to build kind of a crowd, an audience of supporters. And then that professional advancement is later, if you add them in your CRM, hey, I met you at X, Y, and Z podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I'd really like to connect with you and share with you what I'm doing. Maybe they have some kind of network or connection that they can connect you to. And so it's good to save those people for later. People with networks, find people with large networks. Todd is a great resource, for example. He's got a big network with HBAPers, plus future work folks, plus whatever else he's doing with software engineering. Find those people with networks that share openly. that maybe they don't have money to give you. Maybe they're not doing a startup. Maybe they don't even do anything related to the work that you're doing, but they're a fan and they're a friend and they have a network. Keep them in your CRM so you can go back to them later. And meanwhile, I should tell you that I have built a CRM for my startup for the last 2.5 years actively, and only started reaching out and plugging that CRM of financial investor types 2 months ago. So I did a lot of building of that contact. So I have 2 contact spreadsheets. One that's a future of work type that has over 1,000 links in it and 1,000 people's contacts. And then one that's just for my business that has somewhere in the neighborhood of, and it just has the investors list on it, that has somewhere in the neighborhood of about 150 now. So it takes a long time to build that. It doesn't happen overnight. And then resources, what will help you when it comes time to run your business with bookkeeping or operations or developing AI. Keep those platforms in a CRM so you can go back and say, oh yeah, they had a good deal. And I never signed up for all those when they offered it, but I come to these, for example, religiously because they always offer a resource that I might use later. And then the last thing, keep funding avenues. Keep those links that are your favorites. Maybe you don't want to funnel through the process to apply right now and you're not ready, but maybe in 3 months you will be. And so keep those so that you can just set time aside to apply for one at a time. And then the other big part of building your reputation is participate and celebrate others. So oftentimes I see people, and especially peers, that will go out there and promote themselves, and then you never see them at anything. You never see them supporting, you never see them reaching out in the chat, you never see them talking, you never see them other than promoting themselves. It's really important to celebrate others' achievements that are also entrepreneurs right alongside you, developing that support. So when you do go to share something, people attend other people's offerings and give them support and advice. And you might learn something too, how they're achieving it. The best of what I learned along the way is what I've learned also from others. And then keep notes on what others are doing so that this will come in handy later. I actually put notes in a CRM, Excel. I just keep a simple Excel spreadsheet, and say, hey, I met this person at such and such meeting on such and such date, and we'll follow up with them when I'm looking for funding, or I'm looking for a connection in the software engineering space, or the whatever. You get where I'm driving? So once you have this idea, you've created it, you go, okay, there's this many competition out there. There's this much money out there for it. There's a lot of interest in this area, and I really think that I could make a go at this product. Once you create this idea and you don't have all the answers of, okay, how will it make money? What's your Tom and your Sam and your Mark and your Jan? What do I do with this now that I've created this idea? You got to test it. And the best way to test it is to take the very scary leap of getting involved in incubators, collaborative communities, accelerators, pitch competitions. And you say, oh my God, well, what about sharing my idea out there? And what if someone steals it? Well, then copyright your stuff. Write it down, design it all out, type it all out, stick it in an envelope, address to yourself, put a stamp on it, and mail it to yourself in the mail. It'll take a stamp date. If at some point later somebody steals your idea and you discovered it, you have a sealed envelope with all the information. Yeah, is it rocky? Absolutely. Todd's shaking his head like, But if you don't have a lot of money to pay for copyright and lawyers and all that kind of stuff to seal your idea, no idea really anymore is anybody's new idea. Somehow we got it from somewhere. But if the compilation of ideas, if you can put it in a paper and send it to yourself, that's a good way before you start to embark on these kind of incubators. And the reason why I say incubators and accelerators, these are key words, find them. They usually take about 3 to 4 months, to process through, to see an outcome. You're only really raising maybe $5,000 to $10,000 if you win, but it's the knowledge gains, the network built, opportunities that present themselves for later. and it'll help you iron out all the wrinkles in your product to determine whether or not it's really a good product that you can sell and take to market. They will help you take all the steps to get there, build your business plan, and give you all the free tools to do it when you may not be able to afford it. Some things might cost, like I have one account that costs $250,000 or $250 a year, and it's like an incubator startup helping investors kind of site. But because I attended some webinar, for example, I got a free membership and I used that. You know, so have an opportunity. When you have an opportunity to pitch your pitch, it'll give you constructive feedback. So I say, get out there and test it, because then you'll get all the advice that you never wanted to tell you why your idea is a bad idea and how you can fix it. And then launch your idea into action. Now you've partaken in some pitch competitions. You're not going to get rich. You're not going to find some investor in a pitch competition that says, I got a $6.7 million check I want to write you for your fabulous idea. If you were that good, you don't need a pitch competition. I can just tell you that now. And if you have that kind of idea, you would have been discovered already. So pitch competitions really are to practice. You know, practice and get the word out there, practice talking about your idea and get a lot of feedback. Now in this launch your idea to action, you make use of that CRM and create one tab that is only funding related. What I did is I took about 2 weeks, and I have a pretty extensively large network and social media. So I went through and I literally listed everyone under 3 criteria. Everybody in that list either they have money to invest, they have a large network that may have investors among them that you want them to share your idea, and then those people that have expert advice. So maybe they're connected to investors, maybe there's double dipping, but they have really good advice to give you. Now in that first phase, when you go to launch your idea, you've got your pitch deck now, okay? You've got your maybe 3-minute video. You know, you've got it pretty ironed out, you know, your Tom, Sam, and Mary and all of that, and, you know, your target market. I make jokes about the Tom, Sam, and Psalm or whatever. You know, like everybody's seen it, the 7th slide in a pitch deck that has the 3 bubbles. Well, it's a lot more invasive than that. To really get the good attention of investors, it's going to have to be a lot more broken down. But in that initial pitch deck, it can be pretty simple. And you send that out. Like what I did was I actually took the pitch deck. Everybody said, well, this is different. I've never seen this before, Link. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm outside the rough. You know, I do my own thing. And so I hate making videos. I know I need to make a 3-minute video, but I haven't done it yet. So what I did was I created my 10-slide pitch deck, and then I created a summary, just a little paragraph that went under each of the slides, and I put that in one document that was 10 pages long, and each page had the slide and then had a little description or summary so they can get a little bit of feedback that walks them through that standard 10-slide pitch deck. And I kind of put, this is how much money I think I'm going to need to raise for my business. And some things, you know, I reworked it. And then I sent that out. And I sent that out primarily to the people that I know and love, that love me, that already knew what I was doing, and that had said, hey, you know, I would love to give you some feedback when the time comes when you're going to launch your idea. Great. That's a good first step. I'm going to send it to those people first, because what you're going to get in the first phase of launching out your idea, I was hoping that somebody would come along and say, yes, we want to write a check for your idea. But let's not fool ourselves. That is so rare. So what I got was all of the advice that I never wanted to hear or learn along the way. And I had a lot more that I had to do. So all it really told me was what I really needed to do more in order to get those asks. So that's that's kind of what I put in this piece, is that was the conclusion. Is after that first phase, I sent out asks and my pitch deck to more than 130 different investor types, people in my network. I pitched in several competitions, like you name it, over the course of over a year, and really didn't get anywhere other than I got a lot of advice and a lot of next steps on this is really how you craft an ask. So what I got was the best that I could have gotten for that without having that previous experience. And so that's why I say from the get-go, can't reiterate enough. Prove all the reasons why your idea won't work so that you can answer all the questions, solve them before you really are ready to take it to the true investor asks. Because what I learned more than anything is that this is a time sucker. Funding your own business is a time sucker. So take what you learn and create a roadmap. Maybe you want to provide shares to build on areas of your company that you're not sure how to build. You know, so for a lot of like tech startup venture capital, I saw that you're required to have a tech person on your as a director in your company. You know, every single ask, they're wanting different things from you, and you can't be everything to everyone. But you can take a nice summation of what the majority of companies or venture capital or whatever are asking, or basically asking of you, and provide that. So package yourself up a really nice package before you go and ask yourself, really, what is it going to take? You're going to need a roadmap of how are you going to really launch your business, take it to scale, make money, and survive 18 months before you need to ask for money again. You have to build yourself in order for a true ask to get money. And now if you got a business that's only going to take like $25,000 or whatever, you may not need to take it to this level. Okay. But if you have anything that's an ask above $100,000, and you should, if it's an 18-month-long business, then you have to know what your roadmap at least looks like, what you're going to pay for in that 18 months, pretending that you don't make any money at all. How are you going to survive? And so that's really important to build. And I found that I didn't have the expertise. So I needed to share some of my shares, for example, of my company to build that piece in so that I could launch my company and my ask. Then you build yourself the true complete package and then send out the true asks. So this is where I'm at now, really in my business. And that's why I said I'm a month early, is because now I've discovered everything I don't know. I know what I need to ask. I know what I'm giving. I know what shares I'm willing to share of my company. I know what it'll take to get me through the 18 months. And now it's the actual practical skills of building the P&L statements and the business plan, which is built but has to have some edits. And now I'm all in the edit range. And once I have this nice package, I found that there's kind of a set of themes of what venture capital or whatever I'm at, whatever source of funding, which I'll break down here in a minute, what they all ask, so I can have a good package for each. So in this package, you want to make sure that you have a good solid pitch deck. You want to make sure you have that 3-minute pitch video, because sometimes they ask for that, sometimes they don't. The summary is really good. This can also be paired with an intro letter. So it's not required, like a lot of places that, like a lot of platforms that will ask for your pitch deck, won't want you to have any summary in there. They'll ask you to put like 150 word character descriptions in their boxes. So what I do is then create like a little script, and I have a script of 150 word character descriptions of my business, for example. And then I pull those open when I go in and put in, because you're really trying to maximize your time. Some of these applications can take you 2 hours. And then you never hear anything, or all you do is get an email and say, well, thank you for applying, but we're not interested. Well, now you've just spent 2 hours for nothing. Well, keep that stuff that you're applying to and what they're asking for. And this is what I found is that they ask for. And that intro letter is really important when you just want to tell somebody really quickly in an email, this is what you're going to be looking at when you see my pitch deck. And this is what my ask is. You don't want to get to that point until you've done that first series of answering all of those questions and have yourself a nice solid package. Don't ask your big ones on the list first. Ask the ones that you think will say no. They'll be the ones that will take the time to give you all the advice you need to get the yeses from the people that you think will say yes. But if you go to your yes people unprepared and they see all the holes and gaps in your system, then you've now closed the door to when you are prepared to go back later and have to find new contacts. So that's really important. And that's what a lot of what I've heard from others that have been successful as well. Like, this is really where it's at. Unless those people that are yes are like, okay, here are the things you need to work on for me to say yes. But that's not necessarily as often. You don't want to close that door and until you definitely know that you've given your best product. Determine where your money will go and how much funding you want to raise. This is a big one. Before you really go to market with your true ask, determine what it is that you need to really ask for. When I first kind of launched in that first ideas phase, that first launch phase of like, okay, well, I can build my business for $50,000. I can get started and start making revenue. That should be easy to get. What I determined is that that's not the route to go, because if you're only asking for 50,000, they're like, well, you haven't thought of all the things that can really, close your business down, and you're not a safe investment for me. And I'm not really going to get anything back on my investment either for a mere $50,000. So it's a balance of what is that sweet spot that they get something, as well as you can operate on that without giving away your company. And so what we discovered was that 17% is a nice sweet spot of what we were willing to give away, which is a $250,000 investment. And so I highly recommend to get yourself valuated. Once you have your idea, you're ready to take it to market, you're ready to ask for money, you know how much it's going to take you, that Gust, G-U-S-T, Gust offers a nice little evaluation thing where you put it in your information, who your founders are, what your degrees are, all that fancy stuff. And it gives you kind of a valuation estimate of what your company is valued at. Then you got a nice benchmark to go and ask for money. Now, once you've set your limits, okay, now you know what you're willing to give away from your company as far as what you need to raise versus how much of a percent. Of your shares you have left, you know that you might need a finance person or an accounting person. You definitely want a lawyer, tax type person. All of that kind of expensive at the beginning kind of stuff. Well, we just went to school with a lot of geniuses in these kind of areas that are really good at software design, programming, accounting, venture capital, whatever. Keep track of the people in your cohort that are doing stuff and go back to them and say, okay, decide what you're willing to give up in your shares. Your cohort and your peers that you now kept track of in your CRM, they have talents to offer and can really produce maybe a P&L statement or a marketing plan for your venture that you can use to capture venture capital. Maybe you're willing to give them a couple $100 or a couple $1,000 in shares of your company, where those shares will be valued at much greater later on down the line. You're now sharing the wealth. You can put a cap on it. You can make an agreement that says, okay, you're not staying in and sharing equity forever, but there is that way to share the wealth with your peers and your cohort to help develop your company where they don't have to be founders. So now I've since hired somebody that's doing it for shares in the beginning with a promise of a position I know and trust that are really good at public relations that are helping me co-attack this getting venture capital, getting funding, because it's a full-time job. So then you decipher, once you have your limit set, you know what you're going to ask for and you know what you're willing to give away, and you have your limits and all of your founders are in agreement, because you definitely don't want to hoe and hum when you get into a meeting with a venture capitalist. Say, well, what's your minimum? Well, what's your minimum ask? What's your maximum cap? What am I going to get in, the dividend payments? Know when your next valuation is going to be. Usually a good estimate is 18 months to 2 years on a small business. That's mine, for example. And I know that I'm paying 2% dividends on the end of that. So simple things that I wouldn't know how to tell you how it works, but I have a business partner that does. And so all those ducks are in a row, have those questions answered. And then you decipher your funding avenues of what kind of funding avenues would give me that amount of money that I'm asking for. And this is where I break it down. Because let me tell you, this is the disaster of a nightmare that I've lived over the last 6 months of figuring out how do I go about doing this, because all of it is time sucking. You can do this full-time fundraising for your startup and not get anywhere and be broke and in a hole. You really can. There's a lot more funders that are broke. Or, I mean, a lot more startups that are broke and go out of business before they ever get started, because it's that balance of time and money. So the micro investing. Now let's start from the bottom and we'll work our way up. So the initial investment or personal investment's a micro investment, right? So you find friends and family that might have about $10,000 that they want to invest. Okay, it seems like it might be an easy ask because they have the money, they love you, they know how passionate you are about it. But you'll find that they ghost you. Suddenly you're in need of money, nobody wants to call you back. You know, you got to chase them down. And so sometimes it comes down to that, where it seems to be easy to get $10,000 investments, for example, it's really just a loan if you need more than that to get started. And is it, if you're going to spend all that time going after that funding, is it really worth all of that time when you could spend the same amount of time? It's as easy to get $250,000 investment as it is to get 10,000. So why not go for the bigger ask? If you only need that much funding and you just need to get started in the next couple of months, then great. That's a good avenue to go. If you just need to pay for a product or whatever, and you can iron that out with someone you know. But for a lot of us, like, I don't have any friends and family that had $50,000 to get me started. And that's where I was starting. So at first I brought in a lot of little micro investments that were more like loans to say, hey, we just want to see you successful. So I've had to bootstrap myself and do my consulting in the day and then balance my time so that I can at least get myself going, because I can't make money off the business yet. And so that micro investing is harder, but it can be successful if you have a lot of friends and whatnot and family. And then there's that incubator, accelerator, collaborative. This is really great, like I said, to build your repertoire of knowledge and build your pitch and all of that, and maybe bring in a little bit of extra dollars to create, you know, some promotions or something about you're creating a startup. But it's not necessarily enough to get you started. So if you're already past those avenues, I would say don't waste your time, because it's really only, you can only really do 1 to 2 at a time. And it's a 3 to 4 month give to receive anything back. So if you're unsure of your idea and you need to practice some, these are good ways to do that, but it's not how to bring venture capital into your company. I can tell you that. Pitch competition, same thing. You're practicing. You might get some awards. It'll give you some promotional things to put on your, you know, LinkedIn or whatever. Hey, I won. And you can use that with an investor to say, hey, I won a pitch competition for my idea. But again, it doesn't necessarily draw in the big investors, and they're usually more silent in the back anyway and have to be found. And there's a whole aspect of that as well, being a part of the community. And then there's the business loan aspect. For the business loan aspect, if you're really only asking up to $250,000, this is a great thing, except for it attaches to your own wages. It attaches to your own statements and your credit score. So if you're looking to buy a car, if you're looking to buy a house, if you're looking to buy land, you're kind of screwed because your business is attached to that loan and you have to pay it back. And so that becomes a problem. But if you're very sure about your idea and you have 3 months to wait to get it started and you want to retain 100% ownership, this is the avenue to go. Here's the challenge though, when you're looking at loans. So you go for a loan, and most loans really want you to already be in business, already be launched, have some statements at least 3 months worth before they'll give you the loan. When it turns into that you are needing the money to get started and you have no money to show, many won't loan to you. And then they will turn you over to the safe investment rounds or recommend crowdfunding and all of that. rah-de-dah stuff. Now let's move into crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is an interesting kind of thing all its own. With crowdfunding, imagine that you need to give something in return for their investment in you. What are you going to give? Does it support your business? Is it, like, for example, my idea was, okay, what if, since we need LGBT training in Northern Arizona, for every $1,000 I raise in crowdfunding, I'll give $1,000 trainings for free to organizations in Northern Arizona. And I have enough followers and people that love my work and my training that I can do that. However, my startup is not LGBT related. And I don't want that crossover for people to think that it's an LGBT startup. So if I'm doing that to raise money for my business, the two kind of identities of the two differ. Well, if I'm doing crowdfunding for the business, now the next problem starts. If I'm doing the crowdfunding for the business and I'm telling my story and I raise $40,000 and I put that $40,000 now into our existing bank account, it shifts the equity of the company. Now my co-founder needs to put in that same amount of money to keep the equity equal. So if you're going to do crowdfunding, it needs to pay for a certain specific purpose. For the build out of this platform, it's going to cost me $50,000. I'm raising $50,000 to do it. Very specific. I need to raise $20,000 to send out promotions for my new app. That's a crowdfunding thing. So if you have a certain emotional purpose that your startup is going to do something really great for a set of people, and you have something free to give to raise that money, and when that money goes into the account, that everybody gets the equity that's involved in the startup, and you have all those irons greased, right, or whatever, gears greased, then go ahead and do it. But what it's going to take is that you're going to have to dedicate a lot of time to maybe pulling freelancers to market you, doing lead generation, getting it promoted out there, because everybody's got an idea that they're trying to raise money for. What sets you apart, and what can you do, and who can you bring in to share some of that time it's going to take to promote you? Okay, so those great ideas that raise millions of dollars overnight, those are great, but I don't know about you. I haven't figured out the idea yet. I have a hard time getting people to see my LinkedIn posts. And I don't have the time to invest to figure out what SEO language I need to use to get it to go at the top of Google. You see what I'm saying? So if you're like me and you're just trying to make it through your day, and I don't spend 40 hours a week promoting companies and in the marketing field, well then, crowdfunding may not be the thing for me. And so I'm still toying with that idea and how I can leverage it, but I think it'll come later. And then last but not least, and of course, there's rounds after the initial safe investment, but this is how far I am. And so I will finish with this. The venture capital piece. It is the best route to go, really, if I were to give my true opinion. When it comes to getting your company started, launched, giving yourself a runway so that you can pay yourself to get started and build the company right. Try not to build your plane while you're flying it. You're going to need to have the business filed. You're going to need to have a bank account set up before even the first check comes in. So if you have to work a little bit, do a side hustle to raise some money, to at least a couple $1,000s to at least get yourself legally structured, set up, that's okay. You don't have to raise money before that happens. Build it as you go. Set yourself aside a little envelope or something that you're putting cash in. Get that sucker started. Open yourself a bank account. Then you're ready to get that venture capital. You'll want to have your pitch deck. You'll want to have your marketing strategy. How are you going to make it through the next 18 months? You're going to want to build all those pretty little charts that say, this is my target market and how I intend on making money. No one's going to sign a non-confidentiality or a confidentiality agreement, non-compete agreement before they read your pitch. That's a chance you're going to have to take. That's why I say copyright it ahead of time, because I went that route of like, well, I want to share with you my inside thoughts and what I'm really doing, but will you sign this thing to say that you won't steal my idea? They barely have the 2 minutes to spend on even looking at your deck, let alone thinking your idea is so great that they want to go do it on their own. So you're less likely to get your idea stolen from a venture capitalist than you are your local town investor that has a lot of friends. So sometimes the person that you think would be the best investor, they're really on board with your idea, may not be the best person to pitch to. So I'm running into this challenge now where there's all these other people that are very narrow-minded, very superficial, very hateful of LGBT people, don't like me because I'm transgender. One even told me, we can't work with you because you're walking in sin. Well, okay, all right. And they're trying to build a one-stop shop resources. So when I come out with my big grand idea of NAZ Local, and I went to Harvard, and I'm coming back to my real community, and I got the idea, guess what? They all want to figure out how I'm doing it so that they can do it better. So I have now, and this is kind of where I'll stop there, is what I've done now is, what are the type of people that would invest in my idea that are not emotionally connected to my idea, know that they can make some money from it. So when they see my idea, it's an opportunity for them. I have this wonderful thing that I'm creating, this wonderful idea, and I have people that are on board and cheerleaders and whatnot. But who are those people that not only think my idea is a good idea, they haven't really seen it before? It turns their head, they're willing to listen, they've got money to invest, and they want return on their investment. What sweet deal can I offer them so I can get to the goal line as fast as possible with the least amount of scars? And that's what I've discovered is find out what you're really asking for, what it's really going to take. Go to that venture capitalist prepared with a plan. So when they ask you questions and you do turn their head, like I talked to a guy today that's a real estate investor. I said, do you invest in Arizona? He says, I have friends that do. And I said, well, what if I told you you could own all of Northern Arizona for a mere $250,000 and triple your investment in 2 years? Would you be interested? I didn't tell him crap about my business. I didn't tell him where I came from, what I did. He already saw all that on LinkedIn. Now he's listening. Then I can sell the story. I can answer all of his questions. Now he wants to see the pitch deck. Now they're asking for all of that. Get them on the phone first with a hook. And then if they don't like your idea or they're not interested in investing, I guarantee you they have 3 friends. And that's who's going to end up investing in your company. And that's who's going to end up investing in mine. So I'm getting to it. I've got a lot of people on the list and a lot of things to ask, but I'm really down in the weeds of just trying to get the darn pretty little pictures and charts that I need to go in the report to go to the investors. So I'll stop there, but thank you. Thank you for your time and for coming.
Link, thank you. This was really awesome. Folks, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. We'll enter into Q&A. I just got to tell you, Link, I was taking notes throughout this. This was really, really wonderful. I like how a lot of your advice was not just focusing on that, oh, you are a massive company and you are in VC territory. A lot of your advice was just like, hey, I got a small idea and it's never going to grow to 1 billion users. It's not going to compete with Facebook, impact or otherwise. It's still very useful. And I really liked your advice on proving why your idea won't work. I mean, I'm always thinking about, okay, how am I going to make this work? How am I going to make this work? But thinking about that universe where it isn't going to work, which I have to say is significantly more likely. Your universe where my idea isn't going to work is a lot larger than the universe where it does work. And quite honestly, I'm it's very humbling to hear that. I'm just thinking about what happened with Distill It. Yeah, I wish we had thought about why would this not work, and it would help guide us into the place where it will work. Very wonderful wisdom. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
I see we got some hands up. Victor, we'll go to you, and then we'll go to Andrea.
Yes, thanks. I don't have a particular question. I think everything was presented clear and well. I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you for putting it together and sharing it with us tonight. It's appreciated.
Thank you, Victor.
Thanks, Victor. Andrea. Your hand is up, Andrea, but we cannot see you and we cannot hear you yet.
There we go.
I think we got her. You there? Andrea? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay,
Now we
awesome.
can.
Sorry about that. I'm in the car and it's just technical difficulties, but I just wanted to say that was amazing. And I agree 100% with what you said, Todd. My question for you, Link, is what kept you motivated to keep pushing through with your startup, even now you face some challenges?
Recognizing that it's all I really wanted to spend my time doing. When I found myself going to bed at night, waking up in the morning, and the first thought that would enter my mind was a feeling of frustration that I had not yet started it. Knowing that, yes, I had all these other skills and talents and I'm getting paid doing this work, but I'm creating other dreams for other people. And I really want to have control over my own company and employ people. Knowing that and wanting to have that reach, it kept me motivated to just, if I just wake up today, and I had friends along the way, and one friend said, make each day an intentional day. So even if you don't only finish one small thing today, what are you going to do today to move the needle even a centimeter towards the direction of progress? And some days it was really hard to motivate myself to even get out of bed, let alone make progress on my business. So if I could do one thing, that's what I would do, is what can I do today to move the needle? And that's what motivated me through each day, is knowing that each day I was just a step closer to getting started.
Thank you, Link.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Andrea. Williamson, and then we'll go to Dean.
Well, I just would like to really thank you, Link. It was amazing lecture. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing such knowledge and experience with us. You are a kind person. Sometimes the people even ask money to teach this kind of thing or to share this knowledge. So you made for friendship and for free. So thank you. I really appreciate your time, and your preparation was amazing. You share a lot of things that is sometimes you have to take years to learn that. So it was a pleasure and a privilege to be here. Thank you. I really
Thank you.
enjoy your lecture.
It was a pleasure of mine to share all my pain.
Thanks, Williamson.
Thank you, Williamson. I appreciate that.
Dean.
Hey guys, sorry I was late. And Link, I missed a fair bit of the whole presentation. I do apologize, but I caught the last part. Quick question: how long have you been going? And you probably covered this, so I do apologize. But
no, that's okay.
How long have you been taken from woe to go from your business idea to where you are today to raise your capital and necessary resources to get you going to the next level? How long has that taken? Where to go?
20 years. Realistically, I mean, it was always a figment in the back of my mind and my imagination that I wanted to create a one-stop shop, right? But it turned into me founding my consulting company in 2016, where I created then one-stop shops for a lot of other companies. And so all along developing all this idea and keeping track and getting ready. So keeping my spreadsheets and keeping information and keeping the contacts and the partnerships and all the people that I might want to put in there. And so all of that piece of building the ideas has been really like a lot of it since starting in 2012 all the way to 2016 when I founded my consulting company. But then I kind of put everything to rest when I started HBAP in 2018 to kind of reacquaint myself. What is it I really want to do and how do I scale my idea? Discovering that it would cost millions of dollars at that point, I almost gave up. But I really started putting the ideas and stuff into motion during HBAP, and then actually formalized the solid idea and the plan about last June, last April, somewhere in that realm. And so I've been hard asking for, you know, doing the pitch and all that kind of stuff since August, September.
Okay, wonderful. Thank
For
you.
this particular startup.
Yeah. Thank you.
Dean, thanks.
Yeah, no, my only comment on that is, you know, Craig and I have been there, as you know, and it is tough. It's really tough. But you just, if you really, and that's why I said wonderful answer. If it's what you think and get out of bed and you're passionate about, you will find a way. You really will. You'll fall over, you'll just get up again, and you'll find a way. You just have to. And if you're passionate enough, you just will. Just don't, you know, make silly, last minute decisions. You really need, you know, when you think I'm going to go, just, you've got plenty of friends around you, as you know, to get that, hey, you know, what do you think of this? Because you will get these bangs, but you will get through. You really will if the idea is really there. So they're well done.
There were a lot of carrots along the way. Like when I won second place in the pitch competition for HBAP in September 2020.
That's right.
And there was a lot of offers and help and this and that. And there was a lot of carrots dangled of how I could launch my idea. But I wanted to make sure, you know, it's how long I've been on the journey, a long time, but I really wanted to make sure that I knew my product inside and out before really going live with it. And so that's only been maybe 6 months, but it's been a long road. So don't follow the carrots, I say is a good idea, because, you know, make sure you're prepared.
Yeah.
Jan.
I remember that pitch competition well. Jan.
Sorry, Todd.
Oh, we cannot hear you just yet.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. I have a question about funding. I understand that link your site will be the nonprofit, maybe, or not?
No,
it's a for profit. Okay, and then you describe that during the process, it seems like hard to get a fund. So are you trying to purposely targeting on certain funding company, or is there any just hard to get and somebody is not recognize your multi one-stop shop sort of structure?
It's when looking for funders and funding, you know, there's a lot of general ones out there. I've kind of honed in on some that are LGBT inclusive and things like that, but I found that I'm not. That's why I brought in the person I brought into my company is female, so that we can be LGBT owned and female led. Because it's, you know, I'm sorry, it's the reality. It's the reality, and you know, she's a great face to lead it. And so, especially in our local community. And so, I'm sorry, I'm kind of playing on that, but as an LGBT person, I'm really, and a white guy, it's hard to find.
Is that really an issue, or just?
It is really an issue. It is really, and I'm glad, I'm celebrating that there's so many underrepresented founders getting launched. Like I'm all about it. But my face gets me in trouble, and so. That
they're not trusting you or something?
Well, it's not, it's either I write transgender across my forehead and then post a picture of myself. You know,
but your background is so strong, and who could question you? You know, and then, it's hard to believe.
I've been thrown out of
lots of people.
They haven't been really nice, especially having a background in DEI stuff. That made it a little harder. But I say, you know, find out what, like, that's why I say find out what your niches are and who's funding your idea, and keep track of them so you can find out what asks. And all of them, by the way, are using algorithms and AI.
Yeah.
So take their applications and sit back about 2 feet from your screen as you're reading it, and see what words are repetitive that are popping out at you.
I see.
You know, digital
Yep.
transformation, agile, you know,
Right.
all those
Those
buzzwords.
are words forever.
And make sure you're including those buzzwords in your
Yeah.
letter.
I see.
So
I
that way
see.
you can get attention. Because
Yeah.
that's hard, it's hard to get in front of.
Really, I have somebody that represent a very what I say reputable company being on the market for a while, about 10 years or so. He approached to me and then set up a rules first, and then ask him for the down payment first. And talking.
Don't be weary of those.
Don't do
Yeah.
it.
Any of the ones that are pay to play, like
Yeah.
I'll give you a good
Don't do it.
example. The askforfunding.com, I think it is. Okay.
I think
So you go in, you set up a whole entire profile. You're like, this
Yeah.
is great. They're going to connect me to venture capitalists. And
Yeah.
you set yourself up a profile, and then it says it's $100 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
And you
After,
can cancel at any time. And then they
Right.
offer you a free code that you can get, 50% off or whatever.
right,
You just
right.
keep them going, because what happens is now they to entice you to stay, they
Yeah.
send you all these free listings of investors. And then you go to their investors, right? You go to those investor sites that they offer you,
Right.
scroll to the bottom of those investor sites and see who their partners are.
Okay.
And those are the partners that are actually putting the money in to the company.
So that they're just the little guy, isn't it? I see.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right,
Absolutely.
right,
So
right.
it's never about what you discover on the face of things. It's what you discover when you dig a little deeper.
Right. Sounds like a good deal, and sounds like very easy to approach. It's like, oh, you can fund $50,000 easily, but doesn't look like, you have to pay like $1,500 first, and then after 1 or 2 years, and they're going to automatically draw on your account, and then all kind of membership benefit to you. And I was like, oh, wow, is that the way?
I had someone come to me promising me the stars, promising me $5 million, which is way above
Right.
my ask.
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
can
yeah.
get you started right now, and blase, blase, blase.
Exactly.
Well, when I got into the fine print of the contract, it was 20% discount on their future shareholdings. So not only do they get 20%, but they get discount with no cap at the same rate. So even if we're evaluated at $10 million in 5 years, they still get to buy more shares at the same exact rate with no cap. So they could essentially buy my whole company.
Yeah.
In 2 years after it's successful.
Future, right? That's normal future.
Yeah.
They can buy over you as long as if your company has some kind of trouble, turmoil, cannot pay it back, and they just take it over.
Yeah. And Y Combinator?
Yeah.
Y Combinator has a really good example. And Kelly, who's not here tonight, actually shared it with me. The Y Combinator investor kind of contract.
Yeah.
And it walks through all the different, and I'll go in and find a link right now for the Y Combinator.
Y Combinator. Oh.
You give me a minute. I'll talk amongst yourselves.
Well, while you're pulling that up, I just want a little reminder for everyone. When you drop off of Zoom at the end, you should receive a little poll survey. Please fill that out. It should show up in your web browser so that Susan, Liz, and I can play with data.
So Todd, you should put this way. This is HBAP's honor for everybody to participating
in surveys
of your input. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like
Right. So you should be honored.
Please, yes.
that is make yeah.
So that's the Y Combinator site.
You got it.
That's the Y Combinator site, but
you want to share on the screen, or how you want to do?
It's in the chat.
Oh, it's in chat.
Oh, I don't see it.
I didn't see it.
There's a link in the chat. I can see it.
Oh, really?
A private one?
No, it's to everyone.
I don't see it.
I don't see it.
The last message is a page.
That was a private message.
Here,
Here's
see,
Nope.
this is the link.
No,
here's
right
the,
there.
here's the
Oh.
safe template.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Y Combinator safe is useful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And another one that's good is Techstars. They
Yes.
have a lot of good information as well. Yeah.
So Link, your site, multiple site is already in function, right now?
My linking consulting website is, but not the NAZ local one.
Okay, at the link
I have
one is on.
I have
Oh,
$50,000 left to pay for the licensing for it to go live. And that pays for like the app for on Apple and for PC or whatever, you know, you get the gist. They charge like $10,000 each for each one. So that's the big expense. And then the licensing for all of Northern Arizona. So nobody else can start a one-stop shop in the same zones. And so all of that cost me about 50 grand to go live, and then I'll have a live platform.
yeah. So your platform, oh, you will definitely.
On
So
that one, yeah.
yeah,
I'll still consider, I still continue to consult,
uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Bring
linkingdreams.global.
people
I'll
in.
put in a link in there.
Yeah. So who set up your platform for you? Your partners, or you buy from like a counter scientist?
Are you talking about NAZ local?
Uh-huh.
So
you
I
have
had, because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not a coder or programmer.
right.
So I ended up accidentally, by way of a networking meeting a couple of guys that are right here in Arizona with me that created the product. They had gotten $3.7 million to build it. And this is the 3.0 version of that. And they built this wonderful platform, but they said, we don't want to actually run the business. And you know,
okay.
we just want to market and sell the platform. You'll own the
wow.
business 100%. You just
Right.
purchase it from us and license it from us.
Mhm.
So we did all our homework on them to make sure they were legitimate and that the platform works. And so there's, you know, other markets that are actually live. So you can see some of those. I'll share an example with you.
So when you bought this product, is that you have to like periodically updating maintenance, or you know, is that easy to use sort of thing? The problem can come to you.
So they'll maintain it.
Okay.
The tech company will maintain it. They help us get started and order and, you know, get our sales team built and all of that kind of stuff, because they want us to be successful, right? So we're return customers. This is an example of a live version of what we will have. And so you won't be, this is the desktop version. It's really designed to be a good app, you know? And so so how it will work is when you are in Northern Arizona, it will tell you it's by geographical location. So you search best spaghetti shops, it'll pop up with the ones nearest you. So it'll work a lot like Google and all of that, but it's focused on shop local. So as you are navigating in the app and you find that favorite donut shop, you favorite it, now you get promotions from that donut shop. You buy donuts from that donut shop, you get rewards. Now you can use those rewards for future coupons and discounts, and it encourages people to shop locally. It'll also have like a marketplace where people buy and sell stuff and network with their neighbors. And then it has like a calendar function where you can see all the local events and businesses can promote themselves and put themselves on the calendar. So it's all of the best of all of the main apps all rolled into one, but tailored to Northern Arizona, focused on entrepreneurship and small business here in Northern Arizona. And resources.
That's cool. Did the state give you some kind of a benefit, or are you depending on like a government?
They came to me. They have a little bit of money in the form of grant money, but nothing's free in this world. So remember that with startup grant funds. So there's oodles of money out there for free grant money for small businesses. But you really want to use that for promotions dollars. Because if you get into if you use grant money for the operation structure of your business, then they kind of want to have a hold on
You're
how you're
sharing.
using it, how you're reporting it. They really want to be attached.
They control you now. Okay.
So promotions is much better, that you're going to promote and offer something to support the community in some way. So for mine, I'll give you an example. A grant fund that is going to fund up to so many millions of dollars to support a tech startup business that's going to enhance or improve the social determinants of health in a certain area.
Right.
So since we're a one-stop shop platform that connects to resources, we're enhancing community health, we can qualify for those grant dollars. However, they have 87 pages of requirements you have to fill out.
Right. but eventually you get this money, not that hard, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But that's where you build in a grant writer into your operation structure, because nobody wants to spend their time doing that. Yeah. There's a catch.
There's a catch.
You know, I did discover another. Yeah.
Sorry. Gift cards. Like, you know how you can do gift cards and then they put money on the gift cards, and Starbucks does this a lot, and it's a big part of their budget because people put a lot of money on the gift cards and don't generally spend it. They keep it, and then spend it. Is that part of your thing at all, or will it be?
As far as the business and the rewards that are generated, yeah. So as users download the app, they'll be collecting rewards and generating rewards that they can use for purchases on other businesses in the area.
So the money that they put into it, it's I guess escrowed somewhere, I would assume.
Okay, so as far as going into the business a little bit on the NAZ local side, it's a one-stop shop application that the users download for free. They get a profile, they get to connect with their local businesses, they can buy and sell their stuff on a marketplace platform. They can see all the local events, they can favorite things, get to know their neighbors, all that good stuff, just like Facebook, all for free. How it makes money is it's a subscription-based platform that small businesses, nonprofits, whoever that wants to promote themselves pay a subscription fee. And for that subscription fee per year, they get use of their dashboard where they can run all their analytics, their promotions, they get a QR code, they can send all their promotions out and run all their marketing from one place. And it cross posts to all the major applications. So they're getting a lot of benefits and like that for a subscription fee, but that's how it makes money.
Nice.
So do you have a member that most of them are free, or you ask them pay very little, a small amount of a donation or something?
So it gets a little tricky because I'm a for-profit company, right? So I just met with the largest foundation in Northern Arizona. They fund millions of dollars into supporting community health every year. They used to be the actual Medicaid provider, and that now they've gone nonprofit foundation. And so I met with them, and it's funny because 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they laughed me out of their offices. And it was the worst meeting I've ever had. They made me cry, actually, when I approached them my idea about a one-stop shop. So went back to them and said, okay, I'm a for-profit. You have a bunch of nonprofits that need this service, need to promote themselves, need to post on the calendar, their events and things like that. But they don't have the money to pay me. You guys fund them. What can we do what can we do to get them to get the money to pay us to provide this service? Would you guys pay it directly? Do you guys, if we give you a discount, will you write a big check to us? And then we'll name you as the person that's funding all these nonprofits. How would that work? So how that worked, and we came to an agreement on how that would work, is we as the business write a skeleton grant, for the service that we're going to provide. We give that skeleton grant to the nonprofit. The nonprofit goes ahead and puts their information in there. They're asking this, it's already written for them. They're asking this much money. They just attach their financials to it. Their fiduciary person in their foundation will actually submit the grant. to the foundation, get the funds directly, and the funding is earmarked to pay the fee to us. So the foundation gets to promote that they've now granted something to a nonprofit. The nonprofit gets the service and we get paid. It's a win-win-win situation.
That's cool. That is cool. And then your for profit is still very low profit, isn't it?
No, it's pretty good. It's
Is
pretty
it
good.
normal,
Our market,
normal rate?
our total market right now is 28,000 businesses and nonprofits in Northern Arizona, which we can really seal the deal easily with 1%. That's 280 businesses across an entire region that's the size of Pennsylvania. Not a bad gig. And so that's pretty easy to do. And we'll generate over about $1.1 million in revenue just from those in the first 12 months. But we're set to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of about 8.5 million based on our market and our research after 18 months.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's
So,
great.
not too shabby. I mean, it's not trillions of dollars or millions of dollars. We're not going to go public tomorrow. And, you know, I'm not looking to scale past Arizona. I only want to raise money for a business once, and then I want to make my money and invest in other people's businesses or franchise my ideas or something like that. You know.
So Link, I just want to jump in because I need to go, but I wanted to just say thank you. And you're, you know, when you and I talked about this and having you come on, it was just, you're such a good resource, even when you're in the middle of it, right? A lot of our speakers have been through it and they kind of forget some of the pain points during the early part of the journey. And you were really, really spot on about sharing that and also giving us a lot of good solutions as well. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
And I'll see you all on February 8th. We have another awesome speaker that night. So, so be here.
Reminder, Ravi Swati from the CEO at RKS Designs will be coming. And February 15th, we've got Nicole Gibson, the CEO of Love Out Loud. And on February 22nd, Tracy Warren from F5 Collective. So please stay tuned. Please join us every Wednesday. Next week, we are not meeting startups, but we do have the social overtime for HBAPers. I'm going to pause the recording, but thank you all for coming. This was a pleasure.